Hello. Noah here. And welcome to part 35 of my Contempt of Court Let's Play. And last time, my heart got shattered because it turns out, spoilers, Snow is Hemlock. And I'm recording this a day after recording those two episodes. So the pain and betrayal is still very, very, very fresh. So I might be a little bit down this episode, but I'm going to try to be happy. I'm going to try to be as happy as I can be, I guess. Because guess what? We're playing as Miles, it seems. That's kind of fun, right? I just need something to... I just need something to make light of, I guess. Where is he? The trial is about to begin any minute now. Oh, fuck you! Get out of here! Get out... Ah, Detective Snow. There you are. Sorry for the tardiness, mate. Traffic on a Tuesday, you know. Detective, I think we'd better address the elephant in the room right away, don't you? I've prepared my findings from yesterday's investigation. I have yet to hear yours. Worry not, mate. I have everything you're looking for right here. We've little time to spare, so make it quick. Okie dokie, moving right along then. Well, as you know, I went back to the defendant's apartment for another route around. If you searched it once, you've searched it 1,000 times, Detective. Besides, if he were to hide the enigma, I doubt he would keep it at his own apartment. Maybe we're dealing with a more amateur criminal than we thought. Hold it. Are you saying that you... Surprise! You found the enigmium? And at the defendant's apartment, no less? You got it, mate. Conclusive proof that Renwick Smith is our guy. That can't be. Was Renwick Smith really the culprit all along? Did Hemlock somehow put him up to this? Wait just a moment. How exactly is this conclusive proof? Perhaps it was planted at the defendant's home in order to frame him? Sure, that's exactly what I was thinking, mate. It's a possibility. If it weren't for Renwick's grubby mitts being all over it. His fingerprints, you mean? His fingerprints are on it? You want proof? Have a gander at this. The photo is a close-up of the enigmium surface. Zeroed in on the clearest visible fingerprint. In this matching file, you're right, Detective. There's no doubt that these two prints are a match. Yeah, huh? Looks like you got this case in the bag pretty much, eh? I'm sorry, right? But if this is the truth, then the truth is what shall be revealed in court. Wait, do I... Oh my god, yeah! Oh yeah, I got a prosecutor's badge instead. Oh, and of course I don't have the other evidence because Phoenix has it right now. Attention to detail. Trial will begin in 3 minutes, Mr. Edgeworth. That's my cue. I'm getting close to Renwick territory. I need to go deeper. See you in there, mate. I'll be first to the stand, yeah? Yes, I will summon you as soon as I've delivered my opening statement. That's damn right. I'm sorry, did you say something? I said that damn right. Defending a man we can prove guilty today, right? Today will be the final day for the case. The truth behind Brisbane's assault, the murders of Dox and Maplethorpe, and the identity of Hemlock and his plans, they shall all be revealed today. I wish I had better news for you, right? But your client's guilt is obvious. And for better or for worse, I must expose the truth behind these crimes no matter what. So, are we actually getting to play as Edgeworth in court? I guess we're getting to play as Edgeworth in court. Court is now in session for the final day of Renwick Smith. Fuck. It's... How long has it been? It's been under 5 minutes and I already had a... Court is now in session for the final day of Renwick Smith's goddamn trial. Are the prosecution and the defense prepared to begin? I said, are we prepared to begin, Mr. Wright? Oh, yes, Your Honor, raring to go. I mean, yeah, that's what I meant.
Are you sure, Mr. Wright? You appear a little frazzled today.
It's just, I think I'm coming down with the flu, Your Honor. Now, can we just get this over with, please? I mean, the defense is ready, Your Honor. Honest. The prosecution, too, is ready, Your Honor.
Right, good. I'm glad we're on the same page after all. As you are both aware, today is the final day for this case that I will allow. We cannot spare more investigation time as this case has gone on for long enough as it is. I know what I have asked of you has been a tall order, but this trial is the final chance you will both get to present your cases. A verdict for Renwick Smith will be rendered today. Are we understood?
Understood, Your Honor. Right? Yes, Your Honor.
We begin as always with your opening statement, Mr. Edgeworth. Were the results of your investigation fruitful?
Very much so, Your Honor. Firstly, we have the test results of the VD8 knife to discuss. The second bloodstain was identified as belonging to a Mr. Titus Crump.
Titus Crump, the elderly gentleman from GT2 and VD8?
For whatever reason, he appears to have been killed with this very knife.
Was such an item brought to our attention during the trial?
As I was not directly involved with this case, I can offer no confident answer. But according to Wright, it was not. Correct, Wright? That's the first I've heard of it, Your Honor.
Wait, is the defense denying the prosecution's claims?
I've never spoken to you about such a thing, Edgeworth. I think I'd remember something like that, wouldn't you say? Oh, come on, Wright. We very clearly discussed this yesterday.
Anyway, moving on. What else has the prosecution turned up?
This finger puppet of Titus Crump recovered from Vex Vulper's solitary confinement cell. The Prince of Vulper and the defendant Renwick Smith have been found inside of it. That's right, Your Honor. As much as I would like Detective Smith to be found innocent, there's no two ways about it. He wore that finger puppet at some point. And now the coup de grace. The single piece of evidence to solidify Mr. Smith's guilt. The enigmium itself. You found it?
Mr. Edgeworth, where on earth did you find it?
I'm afraid I can't take all the credit, Your Honor. Detective Snow recovered it yesterday from the defendant's home, and it is currently completely covered in the defendant's fingerprints. This accompanying document confirms the fingerprints on the object as Mr. Smith's, and it is rather conclusive, I'm afraid, right?
Detective Smith had the enigmium in his possession all along?
While reviewing the evidence, I did toy with the idea that it had been planted there, but that doesn't account for the fingerprints, you see. With this in mind, it's only possible for Mr. Smith to have handled the object.
This certainly sounds like the conclusive proof we've been looking for. Do you have anything to say regarding the prosecution's assertions, Mr. Wright?
I have to admit, Your Honor, things seem pretty conclusive right now to me, too. As much as I'd hate to admit it, of course, but I had suspicions. He's not even trying to raise an objection? That's definitely not the right, I know. Something is very wrong here. With that out of the way, I'd like to call Detective Snow to the stand. For the benefit of the court, can we have your... Come on, Niles. We're 3 days in. Who's going to forget old Robbie? It is merely a formality, and my name is Miles. Not Niles. That's a river in Egypt. Fine. Once more for old time's sake, then. Detective Robert Snow. Homicide. Can you confirm that you are responsible for the recovery of the enigmium, Detective?
Aye, I do. The forensic data is genuine.
Can't bloody believe it.
Detective?
Renwick, mate, why'd you do it? Was it really worth your own friend's life? Couldn't you have both talked it out like civilized people? Ever heard of sharing, mate? Don't you know? The more you have, the less you have.
But alas, it appears we may have our man after all. Before we move on to your testimony, Mr. Edgeworth, have you found anything more on Hemlock?
I'm afraid not, Your Honor. Though I was under the impression that Wright was chasing down some leads on Hemlock yesterday.
Mr. Wright, is this true?
No, Your Honor. I mean, I was, but my leads, they led me into a dead end. It seems that my client was alone in what he did. Nothing to do with Hemlock at all. The guy vanished 6 years ago, after all.
Oh, Mr. Wright.
Right, what are you doing? Of course you have leads. I'm afraid you were mistaken. We all were.
Don't beat yourself up, Harry. Hemlock's too slippery a fella. It would have been hard for anyone to...
God damn it! Man, I gotta go to a doctor for this fucking... I don't even know if I have dyslexia. I really think I do, though. Hemlock's too slippery a fella. It would have been hard for anyone to track him for too long. But in all seriousness, think. If Hemlock was established as the one after the Enigmium, why would Renwick have stashed it in his own home? Sorry, guys, but the forensic data on the fingerprints prove it was him.
But yet we require testimony from you first regarding your discovery. Are you ready to begin, detective?
As ready as I'll ever be, I guess. So how's this gonna work? Because I know that prosecutors in real life do cross-examine, but I don't think we've ever seen a prosecutor in this series actually cross-examine someone. At least I don't think we have. To confirm Renwick's guilt, the Enigmium had to be found. After one last-ditch attempt to scour his apartment, it finally turned up. I mean, look at this beauty. This is it for sure, yeah? And whoopsie-daisy, Renwick. You went and left your prints all over it, chap. I'm sorry about this, mate. I really am. But I'm just doing my job. It's nothing personal. It's completely personal, you asshole.
I'm finding a couple of things a little hard to swallow, detective.
Really? You tried mashing them up and dissolving them in water, Your Honor?
Not my medication, thank you. Although I will actually take that tip on board. No, I'm referring to the convenience of the setup.
If there's one thing Renwick ain't, it's a good burglar. He'd have taken care to hide it in a more secretive place than he chose.
If that's the case, then why was it not found sooner?
Why, let's give Harry some sort of challenge for his cross-examination. The defense is ready to begin, Your Honor, I think. Indeed a puzzler. Why did it take the police near enough 3 days to find the Enigmium? Strange that it should turn up now when it was supposedly not hidden very well. That being said, I ought to pay close attention to Wright's cross-examination. Something is very off about his behavior today. I'm not buying his flu story for a second.
Mr. Wright, we're all waiting for you to begin.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just thinking of what approach to take. Well, I guess we'll start with the start, detective. I mean, we'll begin with the beginning. I mean, yeah, let's just do this. Oh, this is rough. What? No. Oh my god. Dude. Is this about to have, like, investigations gameplay? What the hell? There's no way, dude. I love the investigations gameplay. Well, it sure looks like you found the Enigmium, alright. I guess this means that the identity of Brisbane's assailant is obvious right now. I mean, Miss Weaver saw him leave the house with it. That explains the prints, right? Her phone conversation recording clearly reveals the defendant's voice in the background, too. And now this final evidence from Detective Snow really cements Detective Smith's guilt. As much as I hate to admit it, there's no more room for debate. Is there, Your Honor? Oh. So as you can see, members of the court, despite the trust and belief I put into each and every one of my clients, I'm afraid on this occasion that it was very much misplaced. As much as I'd like to have believed it myself, even I was taken for a fool. I knew something was amiss. He didn't even bring up the points we discussed yesterday. All I did was agree with everything the detective said. It is with a heavy heart that I must declare Renwick Smith... The prosecution has doubts about the defense's argument, Your Honor.
It does, but the defense has agreed with the witness and, by extension, you, Mr. Edgeworth.
He's right, you know. You're disagreeing with your own case, Mr. Edgeworth. You got this case in the bag, mate. You've won. Yes, I am aware of the irony. My disagreement spurs from certain details that the defense has inexplicably left out. I value truth and justice above petty victories. Your Honor, I wish to challenge the defense's argument.
Well, I'm not one for leaving a stone unturned. Agreed. This argument warrants further explanation.
What are you up to, Wright? Why try to halt your momentum and sabotage the case? I don't think that's a very good idea, Your Honor. It has been settled, Wright. There's no going back now. Whatever has gotten into him, I for one won't stand for injustice and false truths. If I have to be the one to defend his own client for him, then so be it. Oh my dude! This is better than I thought it would. This is better than any expectation I could have possibly had. This is amazing. A question for Detective Snow first concerning this point. Shite. Might I ask where exactly in the defense apartment you found the enigmium? The other cliche of a hiding place that is under a loose floorboard, mate. A true murder mystery classic, right? Indeed. So much so, one would think that would be the first place they would check. And who is responsible for the discovery of this loose floorboard? Well, Renwick, I should think. It is his apartment, and Man, you guys aren't an easy crowd today. Fine, it was me. I honestly wonder if this man ever takes his job seriously. Does that answer your question, Edgeworth? Not entirely. No, not entirely. If memory serves me, enigmium is a very malleable substance. That is, its appearance can be easily altered. And your point is? Did the defendant not think to at least disguise it? Granted, it's not a foolproof plan, but it would have been an effort, would it not? My client, he didn't know about the enigmium that well. He just knew of its worth and was solely focused on obtaining it. Renwick came into contact with it way back when it looked like a King of Hearts. As far as he was concerned, it was just a playing card made of metal. He probably noticed how bendy it was, but otherwise didn't know. I see. He wasn't aware that he could have disguised it to look like something else entirely. I thought I was onto something there. Very well, right. Continue. This is a sorry, I'm just... Wait a minute. 1984. That's going to be important for something. That date isn't just there for shits and giggles. Something of a rash conclusion, don't you think, right? Considering how thus far you've been adamant that the defendant was not at Brisbane's house? That's what I believed at first, but after weighing the evidence... Don't beat yourself up, Harry. In all honesty, I admire your blind trust in others. But that's what people take advantage of. Case in point, young Smith here. Remember how much he begged you to take his case? Because he knew you'd buy into his sob story, you see. Yep. A lot of sickos out there, Detective. Oh, he's throwing some shade. So your answer would be, no, my conclusion was not rash? Correctamundo. Great, that cleared up a lot. We still cannot determine the man behind the mask. Look at all the evidence, Edgeworth. I'd be the last to admit defeat, but facts are facts. Since when has that ever stopped you? And how do we know that the assailant was the defendant? I can't argue with that. Yet you just now chose to argue with it. No, my intention was not to... Well, yes, in a way, This guy ain't playing with a full deck, eh, Harry? You got that right, Detective. Look, can we just move on? Guess I didn't have a valid point after all. I must question your motives, right? Why are you no longer concerned about your client? Because the evidence outweighs his innocence, don't you agree? At first glance, but what about all the leads you were chasing down yesterday? Do they not account for anything anymore? I'm afraid not. There's plenty of room for debate, and you must have formulated some kind of counter-argument. I was thinking the same thing, Niles. What's the matter, Harry? Where's that fighting spirit? I don't know. I mean, in the face of the evidence before us, I guess there's no more point. Sometimes you gotta admit when you're wrong, huh? This is something of a role reversal. Suddenly I'm the one defending Wright's client. No, this goes beyond that. This is to coax out the truth I know he's withholding from us. I must gather my thoughts and listen carefully again to Wright's argument. If I'm to bring out the truth, I must deconstruct his reasoning piece by piece. Longtime friend, that's sweet. It's obvious right now. I mean, Miss Weaver saw him leave the house, but that explains the prints, right? I'm gonna save real quick. I haven't saved in a while. Can't believe we're playing as Miles. That's crazy. That's awesome. That's just awesome. And we know him as Jerry Jackson because that's what Edgeworth knows him as. I like the attention to detail here. It's very nice. In a gloved hand. Yeah, there we go. This is it. No, I believe it does not.
Really? But the assailant did leave Mr. Brisbane's house with the enigmium in hand, yes?
As a sole witness, we must take Miss Weaver's word on that, Your Honor. And as such, we must also take her word on another observation of hers. Namely, that of the assailant's gloves. Gloves? For those of you in the court who had the pleasure of meeting Miss Morag Weaver, you will also remember a crucial part of her testimony, that the assailant wore gloves. And what's more, that he held the enigmium in his hand.
Why, you're right, Mr. Edgeworth. The assailant could have been just about any... Yes, Mr. Wright, did you just shout objection just then?
Huh? No, that wasn't me. Oh, yes, that was me. No, stop it! Stop playing! It's not Snow anymore, it's Hemlock. Hemlock, stop playing with the court! Yes, I have an objection to. Object forth. You're wrong, Edgeworth, because how else did the defendant's fingerprints get on the enigmium? Keep in mind that we are... Voice crack. Keep in mind that we are only focusing on one moment, that of the crime. Now, consider that Detective Smith and Brisbane are good friends. There must have been a point in time where, I don't know... Oh. I burped. My apologies. He touched it, perhaps? I think I know what you're trying to say, mate. What I'm personally getting from that load of rubbish is that the gloves don't matter. What grounds do you make that assumption? Renwick's prints are Renwick's prints, mate. Whether he took it home and polished it, or he and Brisbane used to play golf with it, whatever the reason, Renwick must have touched the enigmium at a different time. Check the report, mate. There's no mistake on whose prints are there.
Indeed, even if the assailant wore gloves, it doesn't excuse the prints being there nonetheless.
It doesn't explain Wright's sudden heel turn either. Regardless, I believe this places doubt on who exactly the assailant was. The man Miss Weaver saw leave the premises with the enigmium in hand. Now the tricky part, deciding if it really was Smith or not. And having no idea what either answer means for this case.
And can you confidently confirm whether this man was really the defendant or not?
No, but I am forced to choose now that I brought it up. The man who left the crime scene with the enigmium, was it Smith or not? I'm inclined to say that it wasn't, because, like, let me go to... Where's the phone conversation? No, that's the tape recording. Yeah. Oh, morning to you too, Morag. That was Hemlock doing a voice impression. It was not Smith. Did I save? I probably already did save, but I'm going to save again just to be safe. No, Your Honor. The masked man was not Detective Smith. Okay, I guess it is. This won't initially sound good for the defendant, but if I can turn it around somehow... The mysterious hooded figure with the enigmium had to have been Detective Smith.
So the defendant was the guilty party.
No, Your Honor, my assumption is based purely on the fingerprint debacle. It is the answer by which I have chosen to stand. Yes, objection! Hemlock, stop! Let's forget about the fingerprints for a moment, shall we? They aren't entirely necessary for pointing out my client's guilt.
Please elaborate, Mr. Wright.
Hope everybody in the court heard the prosecution's words just now. The mysterious hooded figure with the enigmium had to have been Detective Smith. So you were in fact assuming he set foot in the house, yes? Correct. If that's true, then there's no way he could have missed the unconscious, bloody body of Brisbane. That is, assuming he didn't commit attempted murder. What?
Order! 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 The defense appears to be correct, Mr. Edgeworth. If you so strongly asserted the hooded man to be the defendant, then there would be only two distinct possibilities. One, that he was the assailant and left the scene thinking Mr. Brisbane had been killed. Or two, that he wasn't the assailant, but knew about the body in the middle of the room.
Meaning he saw Brisbane's body regardless. Instead of taking a gamble in hopes of turning it around, Wright has turned it around on me instead. See, Edgeworth? Try telling me Detective Smith is innocent now. Gotta admit, folks, that's a very smart fella over there. Well, I can't take all the credit. Do.
God,
Why'd you have to be evil? I liked you!
I believe we should now hear a new testimony from you regarding this, Detective Snow. The body in the living room. Was Detective Smith to blame?
I was so distracted by those bloody fingerprints. Well, I can't afford to be sidetracked right now. Sooner or later, right? I need the truth from you. And if I have to pull it out from the roots, and that's what I'm going to do. It may have been dark, but there's no way Renwick could have missed the body. It's like Harry said. How else could he have taken the enigmium? Whether he did it or not, Renwick saw the body either way. And since he didn't call the police on discovering his dying friend, makes you think, eh?
Indeed, indeed.
That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, Edgeworth? This can't be right. He wouldn't be acting like this of his own accord. Could it be that... Well, in case I'm right, I should tread carefully and see where this goes. I'd rather the defense cross-examine the detective before I give my opinion.
I agree, Mr. Wright.
Cross-examine? What are you waiting for, mate? How about it?
I hate you.
Judging on the body's position, it was impossible for Detective Smith to have not seen it. That is how he was able to get his hands on the enigmium, after all. You can't deny the assailant's identity with all the evidence supporting it. The fact Brisbane called his own ambulance proves Smith was in no rush to do it himself. This is of course all based on the prosecution's assumption that he really was there. You said yourself, Edgeworth. You stand by what you said. Your answer that Detective Smith was indeed the masked man on the premises at the time. He's damned if it was him, he's damned if it wasn't him. But I can see through you, right? You wouldn't give up on your clients this easily. There must be more going on here. I'm inclined to say improbable, not impossible. Might I remind you that it was supposedly dark when we did an experiment, mate. Covered the windows to simulate the conditions of the crime. And I don't know about the rest of them dumbos, but I, for one, could still clearly see the body. An interesting experiment. And when did this come about? As soon as we found the body, mate. You're only hearing about it now because you forced my hand. Now I was thinking we were just wasting time. I could vouch for Detective Snow. I stumbled upon this experiment when I first saw the scene. Is that so? Curses, I was hoping this would be a point worth pressing. Besides, Edgeworth, you're missing out on another point. The enigmium had to have been taken directly from the body as it served as his false eye. If the defendant was somehow able to remove Brisbane's eye, then surely the object is removable in the first place. I would assume Brisbane doesn't keep it in 24/7. I can see where you're coming from, but the evidence appeared to suggest that it was forcibly removed from his eye socket. Besides, it's hardly like he puts his eye in a glass of water by his bed at night like an old lady. Believe me, we checked his bedroom for a glass of water. Found naught. Oh yes, such overwhelming evidence. The point is that we can now positively confirm who was there that night. I don't believe we can just yet. You said yourself that Detective Smith was the masked man that Miss Weaver saw. I heard it too.
Yes, we have it on the record, Mr. Edgeworth.
That is correct, Your Honor. But I'm toying with the idea that a second person was there at the victim's address. A second person?
Yeah, right.
And can the prosecution back up such a ridiculous claim? The idea of a second party at the scene would probably be the only way right now to bring doubt upon the defendant. I plan to, but not right now.
You mean you can't? Good. Now let me continue.
Perhaps calling an ambulance wasn't the first thing on the defendant's mind.
Discovering the bleeding, broken body of his one and only friend, Earl Brisbane? A tall, proud man with a heart of gold now reduced to a pile of jelly on the cold, hard floor? You're right. My first instinct would have been to order a pizza.
What kind of pizzas do you eat for that image to be so appetizing?
The obvious reason that the defendant didn't ring for an ambulance was because he did it. He scarpered back home and pretended to be asleep when the police came knocking.
Then what is the defense's assumption? Do you disagree that Smith was there?
Well, no, I suppose not.
He was there, of course, to kill Brisbane and steal his enigmium.
Kinda gives it away, don't it? Why else would he be trapezing around in the dead of night?
Exactly, Detective Snell. Why else indeed? These cross-examinations are starting to sound more and more despondent. It is most unlike Wright to just give up on his client like this. My hunch is correct as to his odd behavior. I should approach this with extreme caution. There's a flaw within his argument somewhere. I just have to find it. Maybe then I can begin to piece together what really happened during the crime, while simultaneously exposing Wright's arguments as someone else's.
It was impossible, you say.
Let me get the photo.
It would be nice to know where he actually died, though. That would be...
Received from Detective Snow. Just blood. Oh yeah, also this. This... Still don't know what that is. Envelope. Or coming over to his... yeah, we should not be using that. Probably not. Probably not a great idea. That is how he was able to get his hands on the enigmium after all. $5:30 a.m. I really want to try to do this without a guide, so I need to stop and think critically. I got a comment recently on an Outer Wilds episode, I think episode 30, where I was struggling with figuring out the Black Hole Forge, and this comment did make me feel a little bit bad because they said you should stop and think critically instead of banging your head at the question and getting mad when it hurts. But, I mean, this commenter was completely correct. I get impatient very easily, so I don't really stop and think a lot. So I need to do that. I need to stop and think more often. He called his own ambulance. The problem is juggling what Phoenix knows and what we as Edgeworth know, because Edgeworth doesn't know that the recording is fake right now. This is not important, so I can ignore it. I think I can ignore this for now. I forgot to look at profiles. I should do that. No interrupt at the slightest provocation. An irritating old woman. Edgeworth, you and old women. I don't think it's going to be in profiles, so I can ignore profiles for now. This is of course all based on the prosecutor's assumption that he really was there. Well, first of all, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try and present the picture to it. I'm just going to try some things. It was possible for him to have not seen it. Ah, shit. Now I gotta sit through this. Okay, well... This is how he was able to get his hands on it. I'm gonna try the ambulance recording to this one, maybe. Nope. That was the phone anyway, so maybe the tape recording? Wait, is this the right statement? Yeah, it is. No. Okay. This answer is probably so easy, but I just can't get it. I feel like this might be the thing. This might be the statement that I need to contradict. I have a sneaking feeling. What about this note? Shit. What about this envelope? Shit. Smith was in no rush to do it himself. I feel like this note might be the answer to something. Nah. Nada. Maybe I put the note here? No. Alright, well, I am officially lost. I'm gonna go to the guide. Okay, so the answer is this one, and it is the blood in the cabinet. Oh, god damn it. It's because the body was hidden inside the cabinet. Don't know why I didn't think of that. Right, Detective Snow. Am I correct in assuming Brisbane was found on his living room floor? I thought we'd been over this so many times. Do you need to check the photograph again? This is clearly the living room floor. I'm not talking about the photograph. I'm referring to one of this case's most intriguing mysteries. Namely, the trace of blood found inside the kitchen cabinet.
The bloodstain. Do you think the bloodstain in the cabinet contradicts the defense's argument?
That particular bloodstain puzzled me from the beginning. How could a bloodstain this prominent be present in such an unlikely location? Is the defense able to explain this? And consider this your final chance to convince me nothing is wrong, right? Don't try and deny what I know you know. The bloodstain, huh? I think it's a matter of simple deduction, Edgeworth. Even you could do it. As we all know, the victim was beaten until he drew blood. And as you saw from the crime scene, it was spilled over a wide area. Who's to say some of it didn't fly in the direction of the cabinet? That's how it stained the interior. Incorrect. And you know it is.
Oh, Mr. Wright?
No, Edgeworth, I don't know what you're... Your Honor, that cabinet was closed at the time of the incident. An investigation team and I opened it for the first time 2 days ago.
2 days ago? Then how do you explain the blood on the inside?
As it was impossible then for the blood to fly across the room and into the cabinet, that leaves us with only one other explanation. An answer that will kill two birds with one stone, or mysteries in this case. The reason the bloodstain was found in a closed cabinet, and also the reason Renwick Smith failed to see the body, the true assailant hid the unconscious Brisbane in the cabinet before he arrived. No way!
Order! I will have order!
Running with the idea that the defendant was indeed the man Miss Weaver saw, the body must have been moved beforehand by somebody else, the real assailant. That's such a ridiculous scenario. What evidence do you have to back that up with? How can you prove a second person was there before Detective Smith arrived? Actually, don't even answer that, because I know for a fact that you can't. Please. Oh, I've got a good one. Something else you missed out, Niles. Now, I'm no detective or anything, but even if the innocent Renwick didn't see the body, still a hell of a lot of blood around the place, eh? Forget about the blood. I forgot about the blood. Now that he would have noticed for sure. And before you ask, the experiment showed the blood to be visible in the dark too. Sorry, Niles, mate, but you can't prove Renwick wasn't aware that something went down. Ugh! So long as that doubt remains, Smith was the assailant. How am I going to prove a second party was involved? What would he do at a time like this, when the odds are stacked against him? He would always somehow manage to turn things around and think outside the box. And how would one apply that mindset to this current debacle? Of course! What if Smith didn't see the copious amounts of blood? Because it wasn't even there yet. The prosecution rests with its plea. Renwick Smith did not stumble across a blood-soaked battleground, because such a scene did not even exist. Huh? Oh, you're losing it now, huh? You're losing that cool.
Mr. Edgeworth, did I hear you correctly? You claim that there was no blood in the vicinity when the defendant arrived?
No signs of foul play that would have warranted the need to phone an ambulance. Including lack of blood, yes. That is hands down the most ridiculous thing you've ever said. How exactly is that reasoning supposed to prove a second party was there? A second person could have beaten Brisbane unconscious, then stashed the body in the kitchen cabinet so that Smith wouldn't find it. You say that, but how does that make the blood magically disappear and then reappear? You and I saw it clear as day during the investigation, after all.
I admit it doesn't make much sense. Mr. Redworth, can you explain how this second person was able to make this phenomenon happen?
I suppose I'll have to now, won't I? Yes, Your Honor, I believe I can. As in, I hope. This is how the second person was able to make the bloodstains disappear then reappear. Oh, the coat. The coat. The coat. The inside of it is drenched in blood for whatever reason.
Take that!
That's the victim's jacket, is it not?
This simple item of clothing became the assailant's most useful tool that night, for he used the victim's own jacket to construct the crime scene as we come to know.
Have you lost your conkers, mate? What did he do? He magicked him away with his magic jacket?
The bloodstains weren't even there in the first place. If I could draw the court's attention to the interior of this jacket, you'll observe it to be completely soaked with blood. However, the exterior shows a stark contrast.
Oh yes, you're right. There's not one drop of blood on the outside.
Indeed. Curious, isn't it? Brisbane was bruised all over and bled through his shirt according to this photo. Surely that would explain the jacket's interior. I disagree. Look again at the photograph, right? The bloodstains on his shirt were exterior, possibly caused by his facial bleeding. And might I remind you that he isn't even wearing the jacket? And even if he did wear it at the time, why would the assailant choose to remove it?
If Mr. Brisbane wasn't wearing his jacket, how did the inside get so bloody?
Following a medical examination, it was revealed the victim had hemophilia, Your Honor. This was something I only discovered yesterday myself.
Hemophilia? Isn't that something to do with vampires?
No, Your Honor, not quite. It is a genetic condition where one's blood takes much longer to properly clot, if at all. In extreme cases, even a pin prick could cause profuse bleeding for hours. It was for this reason that the victim lost so much blood from mere blunt force.
Oh my, that sounds dreadful. I'd be fearful of biting my own tongue.
Now take into consideration the victim's condition and the circumstance of his jacket. The assailant must have wrapped the victim's upper body in this jacket, preventing the blood from landing on the floor. Wait, the cabinet. Knowing the defendant would soon be arriving, the assailant had to act fast. With the victim's body bleeding into the jacket, he moved it into the kitchen cabinet. Out of view from Smith, he would be none the wiser when he showed up.
Then what about the blood we saw at the crime scene?
Once the defendant was gone, the assailant came out from hiding and got to work. He took the body back out of the cabinet with the blood pooling in the jacket. That was when he set about painting the crime scene, quite literally. That is what I believe explains the half-hour time gap.
That is a very interesting theory, Mr. Edgeworth. Of course, we have yet to hear a shred of proof that any of it holds water. I'm afraid it doesn't exactly bring up the possibility of a second person.
Exactly, Your Honor. Think about whose fingerprints were found at the scene. And not only that, but think of where they were found. On the original weapon, the garrote wire. Oh, Niles, my lad, you've done it this time. Explain. Don't you get it? The second person was all in your head, mate. You've got nothing to suggest Renwick didn't just walk in and do it all himself. All you've done is incriminate him further. Take it away, Harry. There was no second person at the scene. Renwick Smith was alone in what he did. The attempted murder of Brisbane, the enigmium theft, setting up the crime scene, everything else. And besides, why would he show up at 4:30 in the morning in a mask and hoodie? And also, why... How did he... Phoenix? Oh no. Buddy. Oh god.
Mr. Wright, are you feeling okay? Is it your flu again?
Looks like it, Your Honor. Come on, Harry, you can do it. I think I've got some Cold Killer X in my coat somewhere. I've heard it's your favorite. Right? Is there perhaps something you wish to get off your chest? No, nothing at all. Everything's going to plan. Hemlock. Wright must have looked around too far yesterday and the Phantom Controller himself appeared. He's the one forcing you into giving up on your client. Not if I have anything to say about it. Hell yeah! Let's get this shit. I have a very specific second person in mind. And you know as well as I do who exactly it was. Nope, no I don't. No second person at all, no siree. You guys heard the man. Who's to deny the best lawyer in the city? Oh, you motherfucker. You piece of shit. Define everything else. Everything else? I meant nothing else. I meant everything else as in nothing else. Sarcasm is a great thing, huh? If he really is being coerced by Hemlock, I can't be trying to coax out the truth. I must somehow expose the truth for myself. Well, I think I already know what to present here, but I'll press it anyways. To obscure his features, perhaps. And what would have been the point of that? In the event that somebody spotted him leaving. He may have innocent motives at Brisbane's house, but... Excuse me, but a creepy white master screams, "Look at me!" in my view. Why even have the thing on if he wasn't sneaking around in the dead of night? I'm certain Wright's trapped under Hemlock's influence, and that the Phantom Controller himself is pulling the strings of these proceedings. I have a feeling pressing won't get me far here. I need something substantial. He's beginning to crack under the pressure. Then again, so should the strength of his arguments. I don't know if I can guarantee his safety, but I must continue. Oh, that was it. Okay. Hey, buddy. Look at this. Can we collectively agree that Detective Smith was the mastermind's identity? Pixel partners. Yes, he was. That's what I've been saying. Right. Now, what happened at 4:30 a.m.? Where has this time come from? Well, that was when the assailant arrived at Brisbane's house, of course. Was it? Yeah, maybe? But Miss Weaver saw the mastermind leave the house at 5:03 a.m. Or have you forgotten about this? Ugh! I don't... Your Honor, this was a reminder note not written... This was a reminder note written by the Your Honor, this was a reminder note written by the victim. It clearly denotes that he was expecting the arrival of someone that night. A certain R character, which we can only take to stand for Winwick. And if the defense is so insistent that the assailant arrived at 4:30 a.m., then he can't be talking about the defendant, can he? He's referring to the true assailant who arrived half an hour earlier to kill Brisbane. In other words, the fabled second person.
Order! 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 I agree with the prosecution. If 4:30 a.m. was the time that the assailant arrived, it couldn't possibly have been Detective Smith.
My theory, Your Honor, is that the true assailant committed the crime at 4:30 a.m., then hid the body in the blood according to my previous explanation. He did this because he knew Smith would arrive at the exact time of 5 a.m.
You really ain't gonna let the second person go, are you?
I'm confused, Niles. I'm genuinely confused. That we can all agree on. Don't you want to be happy? Oh, no. You had this case by the conkers, mate. Renwick is doomed from the start. Even Phoenix here saw sense in the end and has done more prosecuting than you. And yet, you've become the one trying to protect him. You had an easy win, mate. In my book, win equals happiness. Why wouldn't you want that? You're lecturing me on how I should feel in the middle of a critical trial? For your information, Detective, I am only happy when justice has been served. I care little about victories anymore. Those days are far behind me. Let me ask you then, mate. The second person of yours, who was it? A man that had temporarily taken a back seat to today's proceedings. A man Wright has supposedly looked into, yet refuses to divulge his findings. Can you say his name, Wright? His name? You see, Your Honor, even Wright is aware of the second person, yet is terrified of his name.
Wait a minute. Are you referring to...
The all-seeing, all-knowing individual known only as Hemlock. Don't make me laugh, mate. So a long-missing criminal genius is the only one who could have been the assailant? What evidence have you got to back that one up? Hemlock is the one, and now he's manipulating the trial by puppeteering the defense. Yet two of the most damning pieces of evidence, the garrote and the enigmium. They both somehow bear Detective Smith's prints. There must be something wrong here. What am I missing?
Even if Hemlock really did commit these crimes, the defendant's traces at the crime scene cannot be denied.
And besides, if this reminder written by Brisbane is anything to go on, Detective Smith was at his house that night. How are you going to explain that one, Edgeworth? Took the words right out of my mouth, mate. Just give up, Niles. Give up chasing shadows and just accept the truth like us. The truth? Could it be that the truth is what's wrong with this case? Is it at all possible for the truth to be wrong?
I'm afraid mere speculation would not hold as concrete proof, Mr. Edgeworth. So unless you can somehow...
I have an idea, Your Honor. I wish to challenge a certain so-called truth to this case.
A certain truth?
Allow me to explain. Something here is wrong. Something we have all come to accept as factual truth. Something we have all been fooled into blindly accepting. Something we have never even thought to
Wow.
Something we have never thought to even validate. Holy shit, I can't fucking speak. I'm tired of this bullshit, and I realize that I was the biggest fool of all.
And what exactly is this inconsistency? Which part of this case needs validation?
That's a good question. Probably the fingerprints. But fingerprints could be faked, I guess, maybe. But the second person, I don't think that needs verifying. That's just something we're speculating. The fingerprints, maybe. The defendant... the defendant is fake or something, I don't know. Fingerprints. The fingerprints that coat every incriminating object in this case. I suspect they are not the defendant's fingerprints.
Order! 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 What grounds do you find the fingerprints are somebody else's?
There are multiple details in the scattered mysteries that don't seem to add up. Everything so far appears to divert attention to Detective Smith as the perpetrator. But this entire case has been manipulated by another's hand, Your Honor. Edgeworth, don't. Don't even go there. He's controlling you too, isn't he, right? And you're not at liberty to say.
But how does that concern the fingerprints to not be the defendant's?
In extreme circumstances like this, even the truth must sometimes be challenged, for it may turn out to be an ideal. I've here a fingerprint analysis report received from Detective Snow in the lobby. As you can see, it shows that a clear match is made. But are these really the defendant's prints? All I have is Detective Snow's word for it, after all.
Here, let me see here. I'm afraid this is an official document, Mr. Edgeworth. It has not been tampered with.
Thank you very much. I was afraid of that. Is this still a point worth pursuing? It bloody well is. Let me save here. It bloody well is. Fuck you. The prosecution requests a full fingerprint report on everybody involved with this case. Why, Mr. Edgeworth? Why you want to do that? You heard His Honor, those prints on the enigmium can't be anyone else's besides Renwick's. Tell him, Harry. The defense objects against the prosecution's request.
You still question the defendant's fingerprints, Mr. Edgeworth?
No, Your Honor. I question everybody else's. Please grant my request and I will hope to show you. No, Your Honor. I object to this irrelevant waste of time. Do you really object, right? Or does somebody else? I'm on to you, Hemlock.
Objection overruled, Mr. Wright. Bailiff, contact the local precinct and get a fingerprint file on everybody within this case. And I do mean everybody. Right away, sir.
20 minutes later.
Thank you, bailiff. That will be all. Now, let's peruse the report.
Detective Smith's fingerprint sample remains the same, and still troublingly identical on the prints on the aluminum surface.
Everything looks to be in order here, I'm afraid. The defendant's prints is now undoubtedly clear in it. Fuck. The defendant's print is now undoubtedly clear in its second report. Detective Smith was definitely the handler of the enigmium and the garrote wire.
No! I can't let this be it. I'm missing something here. I know I'm missing something. If this report isn't hiding anything, then why the defensive reactions from Wright? And any reaction of Wright's must be by extension those of Hemlock's too. Wait a minute. This nagging feeling. Something in this report must have subconsciously resonated with me. Wait. What the... That's it! I knew something about this report was off. I tried saying something, mate. Well, that's 20 minutes of my life I ain't getting back.
It was certainly a valiant effort of you, Mr. Edgeworth, for thinking outside the box. But alas, it appears you have not been able to discredit the defendant's...
Wait a moment, Your Honor. I've just found something very unusual with this report. Hell yeah, the music, let's go! Sorry, I'm dancing in real life. No one can see this. Okay.
Are you sure, Mr. Edgeworth? The report looks fine to me.
Yeah, totally fine. It's all in your head, Niles. This has to be a mistake. This has to be a mistake, but I'm hoping it's not. Here within this report lies a bizarre discrepancy. One that would result in a certain person to thoroughly explain himself. You mean Renwick, right? I agree, he should be ashamed, that man.
Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Show us the so-called bizarre discrepancy. Which page should we be looking at?
I mean, I would assume it would be page 2, because, you know, Snow Robert. It's on page 2, Your Honor. Fuck. No! Damn it. I should have saved. Hold on. Do I have an autosave somewhere? Okay, well, I have to go through it again. Save! So I don't have to go through all that again. That took like 5 minutes. Jeez. Okay. So, it wasn't page 2. So, I guess maybe it's page 1? Right? It's on page 1, Your Honor. Wait. Is it page 3? Oh, okay, so they were all kind of correct, but... Okay, so I'm going to say page 2. It's on page 2, Your Honor. Take a very close at this particular fingerprint.
Take that!
That's... Mr. Edgeworth, that's Detective Snow's fingerprint.
Correct, Your Honor.
I don't get it.
Detective Snow clearly does, judging by his face. Keep page 2 to one side, Your Honor. Then take a look at Renwick Smith's fingerprint on page 1. I'd really rather you didn't, Your Honor.
Okay, so we have Detective Snow's print sample here. And here we have this defend... Wait, this can't be. These fingerprints... They're both the exact same! Detective Snow, what is the meaning of this? Why do you and the defendant share the same fingerprints?
That's just a print error. Seriously, you know how mad that sounds for our bloody fingerprints to be the same?
But how could you know if this document contained a print error or not?
Phoenix, you perhaps got anything you want to say, mate? Anything at all?
Wow, I didn't even see your lips move, Mr. Wright.
Yeah. Heck of a trick, huh? Hold it, Edgeworth. That's why he's not been able to speak freely. The man responsible is here in this very room. You'll need more proof than a piece of paper to make that kind of accusation. Take the enigmium, for instance. How could you tell which print belongs to who? So physical proof that these two share the same print is what he's asking for.
It's a question worth answering, Mr. Edgeworth. If indeed this mind-boggling wonder is true, a more tangible demonstration is needed.
Is there something in the court record I can use to answer that question? Something Detective Snow has recently touched? We can use the finger puppet, because it says, it says Detective Smith, but we can also use the autopsy report received from Detective Snow, so Snow has touched it. Very well, Your Honor. I believe I can prove this.
Then let's waste no time. Do you have a sample of Detective Snow's fingerprints for comparison? This is your copy of the victim's injury report?
Which I received directly from Detective Snow. You'll find a rather prominent thumbprint on the top left corner of the envelope. I wonder, Detective, could this be yours? I'll save you the trouble, mate. That was one of the other guys snacking. Greasy fingers, you know. Well, we'll find out, won't we? What do you make of this, Your Honor? Does the print match the report?
Why, yes, I would say it does. Detective Snow definitely handled this envelope.
Now ask yourself, Your Honor. Being in police custody the entire time, would the defendant have left his prints on this?
Oh my, no he wouldn't. You're right.
Precisely. Out of the two, the only one in position to handle case documents was you, Detective Robert Snow.
Detective, you owe this court an explanation. Why do you have the same fingerprints as the defendant? You do realize the implications of what this means, don't you?
So I have Renwick's prints? How do you know that he doesn't have my prints? What do any of you know about me and Renwick, eh? We're the best of buds, us two. Or at least we were until he showed his true colors. And you stand there telling me I'm the shifty one all of a sudden. You are a detective. All this time you have been in a very tenable position. Able to move freely about any crime scene without question over your authority. Hiding in plain sight among your peers at the police department.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you driving at? You don't think the detective is involved?
I do, Your Honor. And you are all probably wondering, why? Why would a simple detective commit attempted murder and grand theft? Why would he frame his so-called best bud? He chose one very specific target and had his eyes on one very specific prize. Because that man standing at the witness bench is not Detective Robert Snow.
What do you mean Detective Snow is not Detective Snow?
We have strayed from a very particular subject quite a bit, Your Honor. But we still have the matter of Hemlock to discuss.
Hemlock, you say? Does the prosecutor presume he is still involved?
More than merely involved, Your Honor. He has been the true culprit all along.
Detective here. He's Hemlock? Mr. Wright, what does the defense make of all this?
I don't know. May I remind Your Honor that Hemlock is heavily affiliated with the criminal underworld? Detective Jackson said yesterday that he became the new leader of the Cadobian smuggling ring. And I've caught on to many behaviors that suggest he has been manipulating this trial. Clearly, Wright has been coerced by this man to ensure he gets away from his crimes. As he has just proven, he can't agree. He can't say a single word out of line. So I declare, for the record, and for the knowledge for as many people as possible, Detective Snow, you are the man known as Hemlock. Oh well, look at that. Now the friggin' judge is against me too.
You want to make an assumption like that? You best back it up, mate. Ain't no way in hell you can call me out as Hemlock.
Well, technically, I just did. This is my chance to make sure he doesn't get away. Fine. You want evidence of your true identity? I believe I have just the thing.
The boogeyman killer. I think it's going to be the finger puppet. Shit, wrong thing. Let me save again. I can't remember if I saved or not.
Your Honor, do you remember this finger puppet?
From yesterday's proceedings? Yes, I remember Mr. Wright presented it on one occasion. It was sent off for analysis to determine its owner. Have the police been successful in that regard?
Yes, Your Honor. The fingerprints of Ex-Bobo and Renwick Smith were found inside it. Or was it really Renwick Smith's print? Bobo claims that this finger puppet was a parting gift to him from the boogeyman. If this is true, then it's likely that this puppet belonged to Hemlock himself. If what you suggest Volpo told you was accurate, then it's possible that Hemlock left prints inside the puppet. Exactly. It would bring us one step closer to identifying this faceless man. Keep in mind our most recent revelation that detectives know inexplicably has the same prints. Now, what would that mean for this puppet's owner?
And how do you know that can possibly be Renwick's print inside that puppet?
For a detective, you're not all that bright. It's almost as if you weren't really a detective. Need I remind you that Detective Smith has been in police custody this entire time? How would he possibly be able to make contact with this puppet? A puppet that has been in the possession of Vex Volpa for the past few days, no less. I hardly doubt the defendant was able to leave his cell and pop down to solitary confinement.
Absolutely right, Mr. Edgeworth. Then the only other person with this fingerprint...
The boogeyman serial killer that strikes fear into a heart as black as Volpa's. The man who has been coercing the knowing and manipulating the unaware. The man who has been walking around in plain sight taking us all for fools. The man standing there at the witness bench under the guise of an absent-minded detective. The man simply known as... Hemlock.
No!
You okay, buddy? Finally, the puppeteer himself is revealed. Your Honor?
I admit I'm struggling to comprehend the situation. The elusive Mr. Hemlock, here in this courtroom. And if he's here masquerading as the detective in charge of all these investigations... What? Oh. Oh, he's here. So much for Plan U, huh, Nicky? But it ain't over yet. I always have a workaround. Plan V it is, then.
Ah! Oh my god!
You guys sound surprised. Not what you expecting? I understand. Sucks when things don't go your way, huh? What is the meaning of this not Detective Snow? The name's Hemlock, champ. Lyle Hemlock. And I believe you're in my seat. Excuse me, your seat? Yeah, huh? So if you could just scoot over, Your Honor, that'd be great. Stop, stay where you are. Don't come any... Thanks a million, bud.
Your Honor, are you alright?
Yes, I'm fine. Guard, seize that man at once. Oh, no. We ain't having that. Make yourselves known, gents. Plan V is go.
Oh, shit. These men must be Aculus henchmen. How on earth did they blend into the audience?
Cool your jets, people. My boys don't necessarily mean you any harm. They're just keeping the peace during these proceedings. They're all over the building, so nobody even think of trying to do a runner, yeah? Oh, yeah. And for those of you trying to call the police right now, there's really no need to bother.
What did you just do? Deployed a jamming signal within a 100-meter radius. Amazing what apps can do these days, huh? Meaning we're essentially cut off from the outside world. So you can stand your guards down now, Judge. I'm in control now. Unless you want this room to turn into a meat blender.
Guards, stand down, please. Never in all my born years have my proceedings been hijacked like this. Just who do you think you are?
I thought we'd been through this already. I'm Lyle Hemlock, and everything goes my way. Which is precisely the point of Plan V, ain't it, Nicky?
Mr. Wright, you knew about this?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. My apologies. This is what Hemlock said he would do if his identity was revealed today. Yep, what he said. So with that in mind, let me ask you one question, Nicky. With our pact violated and me being forced to move on to my 22nd plan, why shouldn't I have my boys repaint this courtroom with Phoenix blood right now? Yeah. Right. If only I'd known what Hemlock was planning. I need to do something. Wait a moment. Huh? If Wright is at odds for what to say in his defense, then I must speak for him. Your friend and I made a pact yesterday, champ. I'll repeat it for the benefit of the court. Nicky doesn't reveal my identity and he gets to keep his head. Now what part of that sentence doesn't add up for you? Wright didn't bust you. 'Cause I did. If the pact is exactly as you describe, then he wasn't the one to reveal your identity. That would have been me. Edgeworth, what are you doing? Since you've been in such close proximity to the defense during today's trial, he has been powerless to speak for himself. Ergo, he was not the one to blow your cover, but me. Ha! Today's gonna be fun. Okay, guys and gals, we're gonna have a 10-minute break. Can I just reiterate that Oculus is everywhere throughout the building? So don't you be running off now, you hear? Although I will let off people with doctor's notes. Ha! Just kidding. You're going nowhere, buckos. What in the name of all that is holy has happened to this trial? And we have the perpetrator calling the shots? So what are you waiting for? Scram your lot! Well, we're gonna figure out what the hell to do next time.